Steve Smith led Esker as our COO for over 20 years, building a strong foundation of growth and a customer-centric culture here at Esker. But with Steve's retirement, a new person is stepping into that role with years of experience and perhaps a fresh perspective. I'm Scott Leahy, and this is Esker On Air. Today we have a special episode introducing Esker's new Chief Operating Officer for the Americas, Ari Widlansky. We're here today to get to know Ari a little bit better, his background, his approach to leadership, and where he sees Esker going in the future. So Ari, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Scott. Happy to be here.
Yeah. You've never been on the podcast
No,
before, right?
Never been. Long-time follower, but never been.
You've been with Esker for a while in a lot of capacities, so I sometimes forget who's been a guest so far, and it is a surprise you haven't been on.
Finally got an invite.
Yeah,
it took you long enough.
Not my call. So we're just looking to get to know you a little better. We're going to start off, we're going to get into the business stuff as of course we're wont to do, but just starting off on a personal level, introduce yourself to the listeners out there. Where are you from? Where do you hail from now? And what makes you tick outside of the office?
So I grew up in South Florida, spent really a good portion of my childhood and upbringing in South Florida. Went to university and spent about a year or two after university in the Midwest, in Indiana, so at Indiana University. And then I relocated back to South Florida and have been there ever since. So really, for the most part, been a Floridian. And
let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
It was -3 degrees in Madison, Wisconsin 2 days ago. So yeah. The nature of your role now, you're going to be coming to Wisconsin more.
Yeah.
Was that a deterrent to accepting the position?
No.
Okay.
No. I love it here in Madison. I actually really do love it in Madison. My family. I have 3 kids, wife, and a lot of family in that area, which makes it really hard to kind of pick up and leave right now.
Sure.
But I do love Madison. Don't love the cold, and especially with my current haircut right now, it makes it even harder to manage the cold.
That's fair.
But I deal with it.
But outside of work, what gets you going? What do you get into? What are your hobbies?
So big into outdoor activities as much as possible. I grew up playing competitive international tennis. That's why I went to the Midwest. I went there on a tennis scholarship, so it's still a passion of mine. Probably a big reason why we're still there. I have my 3 kids who are also very into sport and being outside. So kind of a big reason why we're in South Florida.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now thinking about your career path that led you to Esker, the pre-Esker stuff, can you share a little bit about maybe, what set you down the path to arrive where you're at here? Were there some milestones along the way?
So I've been essentially in SaaS my entire career outside of 2 years, which I'll talk about that in a minute. Really where I started after university, I took a job as the assistant men's tennis coach for University of Miami. So I spent 2 years doing that, which was 2 years of a great experience, managing really essentially my peers and at the same time getting my MBA. So I did that for 2 years and then jumped into the tech space. Started with a startup out of Indianapolis. I was there really more really started in a sales role, in an SDR role that turned quickly into a commercial sales role. That was my path. My career path has always been more on the sales into biz dev side of things. Spent about 10 years going through 3 acquisitions and 2 mergers in the tech space. So it was a lot of change, and just managing the change for myself, for the people, for my customers, was something that I think really helped my growth. Before coming to Esker, where of course stayed in the SaaS space. Immediately right before Esker, I spent about 3 years with a company where I managed a sales team and a sales division, kind of more of a coach-player type of management role.
Sure.
And then came to Esker on the back of another acquisition. Wanted a little bit more stability. Came to Esker in a sales role. And it had Esker had that at that time, that startup feel. but was still a pretty stable company, not as stable as we are today, but stable where you didn't really feel the startup as much. And that's what attracted me to Esker.
Yeah, definitely a theme in those early days of some maybe volatility.
Yeah. I mean, a lot more than today, which is amazing to see. I look around and I see the different departments, the training teams, the support that everyone has coming in as a new Eskerian. It's night and day different than it was, 13 years ago when I started.
Okay, so now you're at Esker. Let's talk a little bit about the roles you've had since you've been here.
So like I said, I started on the sales side. So I was an enterprise sales rep for a number of years. After that, I took on a management of a team role for a year. Then I moved over to the alliance side, so to head up our channel, which was pretty much non-existent when I started. I mean, it was light. We didn't really have a lot of partners at the enterprise level that we were going to market with. So it was a great challenge that I took on. That led to more of a global role on the channel, which then gave way to this role.
Kind of curious, just thinking about that. Was there an initial solution you started on selling? Is there one to this day that's kind of near and dear to you? Or did you sell everything?
You sold everything.
Okay.
So that's also a big change for Esker. And when I came over, I remember a conversation with Steve Smith where we talked about competitors and who do you go up against? And the answer was, we have no competitors.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, come on.
Yeah.
Well, of course we have competitors.
Somebody.
Yeah. No, we have competitors, right?
Yeah.
So, no, we don't. And now if you were to ask me, who are our competitors? I would give the same answer.
Yeah.
Because of the breadth of what we do, how wide we go within the office of the CFO, there's nobody else that does that.
Yeah.
There's no one, specifically solution-wise, of course we have competitors, within the AP space or the CS space. There are competitors, of course, but office of the CFO and how we're doing things differently from a global perspective, multiple ERPs, nobody else does that. So I'm really proud of where we have been and where we are today and the growth, because the answer is the same. Yeah. We've stayed ahead of the curve for this many years, which is just a testament to everyone at Esker. I mean, France and the leadership team there, and then just us seeing the light that's in front of us and being able to adapt to it.
Yeah. I imagine laying all of our competitors out, and it would be a series of Venn diagrams with Esker in the center, and we compete with all of those.
You got it. You got it. Yeah.
So you had, now that you're in the position that you are now, you had, I would say, a pretty unique opportunity to transition into your role while Steve was still here. How did that experience help prepare you to ease you into the role you find yourself in now? I
mean, it was a huge help, Scott. I'm very grateful for that year, for last year, and for Steve, his mentorship, his friendship, his ability to help guide me and give me enough rope to make decisions while he still was here, which was I'm grateful for. Obviously, Steve, has set a high bar here at Esker, which is great. I mean, the organization is in just a much better place because of Steve's leadership over the last 21 years, and I hope to keep that going.
Yeah. Real quick, getting back to the personal life. Your senior year at Indiana, you lost to Wisconsin 5-2.
Oh, wow.
So
pulled that out of the archives.
What was your biggest regret in not attending UW-Madison?
So, the funny part of that question is, and maybe you know this, when I decided to go to Indiana, I came down to two schools, UW and Indiana. And the night before I signed to go to Indiana, I was debating between the two schools, which is funny now that I end up being in Madison a good portion of my life.
I will give you a lot of credit. I left this part out, but you were the only person to win your singles match.
In that match?
Yes.
So I accounted for 2 points. You need to lead with that.
Well, I wanted to see if you were going to mention it. Kudos.
I don't remember at all, but
kudos on the humility, but I will.
Thank you.
I'll give you a little credit. So this might be a tough question to answer right now, but to help our listeners understand the role, can you describe what a typical day looks like?
very, very hectic. And even the days that you walk into thinking, there's not too much on my plate today, it always seems to be a lot.
Yeah.
The operational piece of it is still a learning curve for me. I enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah.
So a learning curve in a really good way. I enjoy interacting with different departments, working with the leaders in the different departments, growing the organization, finding holes where we can grow the organization. Of course, my natural kind of roots are on the biz dev sales side. So when I get involved in that aspect, I gravitate towards that at times, sometimes too much. So I think it's a challenge that I'm constantly juggling, but I'm enjoying it.
Never a dull moment, at least.
It's never a dull moment, for sure.
Well, Steve was in that role for 20 years. You had the benefit of having him around as you assumed the role and working under him for so long. Would you say there were any key principles that stand out that maybe Steve established that you hope to carry forward?
Yeah, there's a number, and I'll, as I think on this question, I'll probably miss some or leave some out that are deserved to be mentioned. But the lead from the front is always is something that when I think of Steve, I think of something that he does well, and I feel like I try to emulate. He cares about people. It's always people first. He's very customer centric. So there's a lot of decisions that are made that if it's not right for the customer, then it's not a decision that we will make. And I believe in the same. It's customer first. If you're customer centric and you put the best interest of the customer first, good things will happen. I always marveled at Steve's ability to have an open door. Back to your last question, which was how is the day to day, and it's hectic. And Steve's day was hectic as well, and yet he always had that door open. If there was anyone that needed to just vent or talk about anything, strategy, personal, you name it, Steve was there. Yeah. So that's a juggle for me, or a bit of a challenge right now, but I welcome it.
Yeah, and speaking for myself, I've been here 7 years now, and there probably wasn't a week that went by that I didn't have a conversation with him in the cafe. Steve's ability to know which employee's favorite NFL team, so that he could give you the business on a Monday morning, like he just remembered everyone's team. Unfortunately, I like the Dallas Cowboys.
Oof.
So
you're allowed in this office liking the Dallas Cowboys.
If you can believe it. All right, so on the flip side of that, what's something that you are excited to bring to Esker in your new role as the COO?
I mean, the initial answer to that would be, of course, staying the course. Steve's laid out a great framework for everything that we've done and built here at Esker. So just not dropping that baton is the first answer. But of course, there's changes that I want to make, and there's changes that I think a growing organization like Esker's right now kind of needs. You need a fresh outlook around how we could maybe do some things differently. There's a lot of change that is coming, exciting change at Esker. From a growth standpoint, I think getting more involved in the strategy around those changes, delegating down to the managers, letting them do their thing it's going to be a bit different than when Steve was here, just because of the growth size. Yeah. So recognizing that right away and being a part of that is something that I'm trying to do. It's also seeking to understand and re-looking at some of the different departments, how they operate, and questioning why was it done this way. Because maybe it was done this way 5 years ago when we had a smaller team and it totally made sense, and today it doesn't make sense. So my first, really this first 12 to 18 months, it's a lot of seeking to understand why that decision was made, why the organization is structured this way, and then making small tweaks. It's not anything massive. Yeah. There's no big things that I'm like, I'm going to come in and change that. A lot of little things will make a big difference, I think, in the long run. Yeah.
At this point, Esker is not a speedboat; it's a barge.
That's right.
And you got to start the turn 2 miles down the road.
That's right. And we're an international company, so there's a lot of subs, and there's a lot of other departments within the global company of Esker that need to be considered when making decisions as well. Yeah.
We are a French company thinking about sports. Their headquarters is located in Lyon, France. but our VP of Sales is British. So they faced off in the 2022 World Cup quarterfinals. Did you have a dog in that fight between France and England?
I really didn't, only because it was hard to pick. It's hard to pick against France.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least show that.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening from the French office, I would never go against the French team.
He's a company man.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm going to answer that way.
Yeah. Perfect diplomatic answer. Okay, so let's dive into your leadership style a little bit. We talked about maybe what you'll carry over from Steve, but are there some core beliefs that guide you as a leader?
Absolutely. So I would say a lot of my leadership style stems from my upbringing as a competitive athlete, as a coach. I continue to really relish in the coaching aspect of my job, and trying to help people get better and achieve their goals. So I try to do that. I try to listen a lot, seek to understand whether it's the person, the individual, the company, the nature of the business deal that we're doing. I think that's something that I really try hard, and that's a part of my style. I'm always trying to get better. So the phrase, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, rings really true to my leadership style. I'm always trying to tweak, get a little bit better, continue to move forward, move the ball forward, is something that I as a part of my style. I like to roll up my sleeves sometimes, too much. When you're a part of a growing organization, there's a lot of leaders, a lot of managers, and being able to delegate is also a part of the job. So that's something that I'm adapting to a bit.
Well, you mentioned your competitive nature there, just so everyone's aware at the time of this recording, end of January. The Australian Open is happening in the tennis world right now, so you're a big tennis guy. One of the greatest recent American tennis players, Andy Roddick, he could never pull off the Australian Open. So let me ask you this. Your prime, his prime, who wins?
He wins.
He wins. That was a quick answer.
Yeah, he wins.
Okay.
101 out of 100 times, if that math adds up. I grew up with Andy Roddick.
Know him personally?
And a few others. Not really.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe
aware of each other.
If I was in the room with them and we said, oh yeah, I grew up and we traveled to a couple tournaments, we trained together a couple times.
So taking a closer look at Esker's offerings, kind of touched on this a little bit, but is there a particular solution that you think is underrated and maybe more businesses should consider? Is there one that hasn't previously been talked about enough, or is kind of coming into its own?
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into its own is invoice to cash, our invoice to cash suite, which it's remarkable the growth that we have, the product that we have out on the market today. I think once more and more of our customers and prospects see what we have and what we're doing from an AI perspective, I mean, it's really starting to grow, and it's super exciting.
Yeah.
But the same could be said against what we're doing with S2P and customer service as well. SIM offering, it's more and more customers are signing up, using the application. I mean, we have a ton of referenceable customers around that. S2P, more customers looking at our procurement suite, at our sourcing tool. So hard for me to say, one above another. This goes back to maybe my original comment that I made around just being able to service the entire office of the CFO.
Yeah.
It's exciting that we're at that stage right now where we can do it all.
Looking ahead, you mentioned being at a particular stage. What's your vision for Esker's future over the next couple to a few years?
I think continuing down the path that we're going right now it's an easy answer, Scott, but it's something that not easily to execute. We're coming off a great year and continue to grow at a steady pace. Bookings growth, specifically in the Americas, was at an all-time high. So it's exciting times to be a part of this. Keeping up that level is challenging, but I see that as something we can do as an organization. So I would say the short term is continue the growth, continue innovating, staying on front of the curve when it comes to AI and when it comes to differentiating ourselves as a global company with the full being able to service the office of the CFO.
Yeah. So last little bit here, and it's going to be a rapid fire.
Okay.
Answer one, we'll move right on.
All right,
Okay.
I like it.
2 choices here. Pick one. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
TV or movie?
TV.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Good call. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
I think I know the answer to this one, but early bird or night owl?
I'm an early bird.
Okay. Fiction or nonfiction?
Fiction.
Last movie you watched?
Oh boy.
I actually don't think that I could answer this.
I went to Wicked and saw Wicked. This is what happens when you have 3 girls.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, it was good.
I've heard it was great.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper book or digital book?
You know, I'm such a paper book guy, but it's hard to manage the paper book when you travel so much. So I really need to get into digital.
Oh, or do you do the audio book?
I've started to do more audio too. Yeah.
This one, on a vacation, adventure or relaxation, I interpret that as mountains or beach.
Yeah. I'm more in the adventure.
Yeah.
But not so adventure.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not jumping out of planes.
You're not going on a 2-day trek into the wilderness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Pineapple on ham, I think I've had, that Hawaiian pizza before. But
that is not an
I'm
answer.
not ordering it.
Okay, yes. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
You mentioned, kids are into athletics, and so typical dad at a sporting event, are you the quiet dad or are you the loud dad?
I'm not loud, but maybe,
You're vocal.
I could be vocal at times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be vocal at times.
Yeah. Interesting one here. Who would play you in a movie?
Oof. That's a great question.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, that is. Last week when I was in Miami, the waitress in front of the whole group came over and said, "Are you Jeff Bezos?"
Wow.
It's like, wow. No, but you're my favorite person alive.
You you carry yourself like the world's second richest man.
Yeah,
That is a compliment.
Great. Yeah. I think I ordered like a salad or something too. And she's like, what?
Well, that's a classic billionaire move. Classic CEO move, yeah. Well, Ari, thanks so much for being on the podcast here today. This has been a lot of fun. It's clear that you bring not only a lot of experience, but some thoughtful vision to this role. And I think we here at Esker are in good hands and happy to have you.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Scott, and maybe I'll get an invite, sometime.
It's not my call.
In the near future again? Yeah. I've enjoyed it.
So we've been doing the podcast 5 years now, so maybe in another 5 years we'll have you on.
Yeah, 5 years. Okay, great. Yeah. Calendar it now.
So, to our listeners, whether you're an Esker employee, customer, or partner, hopefully this gave you a better sense of who Ari is and what's ahead for the company. As always, to learn more about Esker, visit us at esker.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Esker On Air.